GM, welcome to another episode of the Weekly Crypto Recap. My name is Josh Gordon and I'm your host. Now we have some great crypto stories to dive into today from the week. But before we do so, please drop a like and subscribe on the channel. It really helps us reach more people who are curious about learning about Web3. So with that, let's jump on into these stories. By now, we're all very familiar with issues going on between Ukraine and Russia, but we have some interesting crypto news coming out of this. Now, last Saturday, the official Twitter account for Ukraine shared a Bitcoin and an Ethereum wallet address with a call for help from the crypto community all over the world. What we saw happen after that airdrop was announced was that the number of donations actually skyrocketed. Now, there was reportedly over 7 million in donations in just the 24 hours after the airdrop announcement. So this became a topic of debate online in terms of, should we use airdrops to incentivize donations or not? Now, in Web3, you build your reputation through on-chain actions. And Ukraine is creating incentives through an airdrop for supporters who donate funds. Now, this is a real-time example of how we can create digital ways for people to showcase their support, leading to higher participation. So, although the airdrop is not happening now, it did show that, if people know they're going to be receiving a reward through an NFT or some kind of fungible token, they might be more likely to participate in donations. Now, Ukraine did say that they are going to raise money through the sale of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, soon. So we'll be on the lookout for that. In our second story of the day, we have some news around Electric Capital, which is a venture capital firm who's focused on investing in Web3. Now, they just announced that they raised $1 billion to invest in Web3 initiatives. Now, this is extra awesome because a couple weeks back, we had Maria Shen, an investor at Electric Capital, on the Unstoppable podcast. So it's just so cool to see that we can connect with people in the space that are so deep in terms of building and participating in the Web3 economy. And we got to hear from Maria directly on her thoughts on the metaverse and NFTs. And now we get to see her and the rest of her team investing $1 billion in Web3 startups and projects. Something I'm particularly interested in anytime I see information about venture capital investments and raising money is it gives us insight into what exactly someone is looking to put their money on, what they're looking to bet on and say, this is a trend that we anticipate growing to wider adoption. So the key trends that are emerging from Electric Capital that they're going to be focusing are these 5. DAOs will empower global communities to allocate resources to initiatives large and small. NFTs will form the asset layer for Web3 and the bedrock for new types of financial instruments. Decentralized finance will democratize access to financial products around the world. Decentralized infrastructure will allow engineers to build the next generation of applications without a central point of failure or control. And accessible user experiences will onboard millions of users to Web3. So those 5 key trends that Electric Capital sees emerging are really outlined very clearly, and they go into more detail in their blog post, and they talk about, which areas of Web3 they're looking specifically to invest in within those trends. So very educational for me, and I think anyone looking to invest in this space, looking for information and articles and blog posts around trends from people who spend every day working in this space is just where you learn the most. So I appreciated the report. All right, in our third story of the day, I want to talk about MetaMask and kind of a broader conversation of decentralization versus centralization in the Web3 space. Now, MetaMask recently became unavailable in some jurisdictions of Venezuela due to legal compliance. Now, their blog post on their website is not very informative, but it says that some people are experiencing outages of MetaMask. Now, if MetaMask is willing to block countries or people in countries from using their product, based on their IP address, this brings up the conversation of it's only a matter of time until whether it's MetaMask or another crypto company is forced by regulators to potentially, censor individual people's IP addresses and the services they can access. So in Web3, people people advocate for decentralization because if there's no central point of control for a company that can make those decisions, then those products and services remain accessible to everybody, regardless of political or compliance issues. Now, they're also on the flip side, centralization is required in this case because MetaMask is trying to grow as a company. They're trying to bring these services to people around the world, and they need to make tough decisions sometimes. So I'm not an expert in the compliance decisions that they're facing. I just think that this is an interesting example of how a company can remove services based on someone's actual location. And in crypto, we're looking to be able to democratize services to people all over the world, regardless of nationality, regardless of geolocation, and all those kinds of stuff. So this will be an interesting story to see play out and to see how MetaMask responds, because they're really a very strong player in this space because their wallets are widely used. All right, in Unstoppable news, we've got two stories to cover. The first one is the Unstoppable Woman of Web3. Now, I work at Unstoppable, and I'm so proud to see this initiative take place. Advocating for diversity and inclusion, especially in a very male-dominated technology field, is super important to see. Now, what is Unstoppable Woman of Web3? Well, let's dive in. It's a diversity and education group focused on training the next generation of talent with a goal to onboard women to Web3. Now, we're focusing on a three-pronged mission. One, it's to make Web3 accessible to all. Two, is to be action-oriented. And three, is to help with the first step and support each other. Now, we've got a ton of events planned with tons of partners from all across the globe, and we're celebrating International Women's Day on the 8th of March, and that's when a lot of the programming is really going to be kicking off. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube live event. You can register for that, and we'll also be having a 24-hour Twitter space featuring women from Web3, covering a range of topics from your Web3 101 to how you can leverage Web3 to hyper-growth your startup. What is decentralization? Women in gaming in Web3. So tons of awesome partners from companies like Sandbox and OpenSea and Google and Opera. So we're bringing together really an amazing group of women to start advocating and educating women in this space. The link for registering for our YouTube live event will be in the description, so please take a look at that. With our second Unstoppable story, I really want to make sure we're bringing attention to our 25K shout out. Now, this has been a giveaway that we've been running for the last week or so. Now, every single weekday, we're giving $500 in USDC to one lucky member who qualifies for the giveaway. Now, what you need to do is you need to have your Unstoppable domain in your Twitter name, have an Ethereum address attached to that domain, and tweet something daily. And what we're doing is we're looking for community members who are tweeting, who have your domain name in your Twitter name, and we're doing a giveaway until we reach 25K. So awesome to see this shout out, really giving back to the community for rocking our domain names in Twitter, and we'll see you on Twitter and look forward to conversating with you there. And for our community member of the week, I want to shout out Nadal Hassana. Now, nadalhassana.nft has been active on Twitter. I saw you participate in the giveaway that I'm running on my Twitter profile today. And I also see that not only did you participate in the giveaway, but you also have collected some music NFTs from Mint Songs, who was on our Unstoppable podcast this last week, a week ago. So shout out to you for not only rocking a domain name, but for also collecting music NFTs. Love to see it. All right, for an NFT project of the week, I actually want to highlight something a little different than normal. Now, a group of Web3 developers came together and they created a website called Bubkey. Now, what this site allows you to do and why you should care is because it's helping support Ukrainian people through donations. Now, what they did is they created this website where we can provide humanitarian DeFi support to aid Ukraine. So how it works is you delegate your funds that you create from DeFi yields to help support Ukrainians during this hard time. So Bubkey allows you to invest your money in an interest-generating pool used for collateralized loans. So you as a donator still hold on to the amount that you invested, and you can get it back at any time. And what the website does is it takes your returns made from using your assets as collateralized loans to support Ukraine's defense efforts. So in their first 24 hours, Bubkey was able to have $100,000 staked and $50,000 in donations generated from the NFTs. So check this website out. I think it's just an awesome example of how people of Web3 come together and can iterate and develop applications really fast. The amount of technical resources and intellectual insight from this space is just mind-blowing to see, and it was cool to see people work on this in such a tight turnaround and really create a decentralized application that not only works but provides support for a social good effort. So shout out to everybody involved. All right, that's a wrap for this week's Crypto Weekly Recap. I hope you learned something about the state of what's going on in the markets. We're seeing people come together to create decentralized applications. We're seeing governments collect donations through crypto and look into how they can launch airdrops and NFTs to create unique incentives. And we're seeing venture capital firms raise massive amounts of money to invest in Web3 startups. So keep an eye on those trends and keep an eye out for companies like Unstoppable Domains who are really pioneering social good movements and looking to create a voice of diversity and inclusion in this space. So with that, please drop a subscribe on the channel. Like I said, it helps us reach more people curious about learning about Web3 and the metaverse and NFTs. I appreciate it a lot. I'll see you next Friday. My name's Josh Gordon, and with that, peace out.